It's the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. And as we hit the month of June, we get ready for the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, both of which will be on ABC, so there's no conflicting dates since ABC has all of it. And we take a look at baseball where the Yankees come into the month of June not only with the best record in baseball at 42-19, but with two players who are just tearing up Major League Baseball. When Soto joins the Yankees, you knew that they had two of the top couple of offensive performers and players in the entire sport on the same team. But right now, they are just completely tearing up the American League, and when they're playing in the National League games, they are tearing up the National League. They are tearing up Major League Baseball on an incredible pace as we hit June. They are atop multiple categories. Judge and Soto are 1-2 in OPS. They are 1-2 in slugging. They have Judge has 21 homers after his torrid May. Soto, after yesterday, has 17 and more RBIs, 6 more RBIs than Judge has. When you include Stanton, there's 10 players in the major leagues with 14 or more homers. The Yanks have 3 of them. And what Judge and Soto are doing is just, it harkens you back to the days of the M&M boys. I mean, they are putting on an absolute power show and just dominating right now in a major, major way. I mean, we know Soto got off to the fast start. Judge got off to the very slow start. Then Judge had a May that was epic, absolutely epic, legendary. I mean, almost unmeasurable in terms of how dominant it was, and as good a month as any Yankee players ever had. I mean, that impressive. I mean, Ruth did have an 18 home run month, but when you count everything that he did in the month, homers and doubles and everything, it was just an incredible performance by Judge. And like I said, these two are completely dominating the sport right now in every way. But the amazing thing is the Yankees have not shaken the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles are one behind in the loss column, despite losing pitchers, despite the Yankees' torrid start, despite the Yankees having the best record in baseball. And you have a couple of question marks about whether the Yankees can continue to pitch this way. I at least have a couple of question marks about that. So it's going to be interesting to watch as we go through the summer. And as I said to you on the last podcast, it's been a long time since it's mattered that the Yankees and Orioles meet, since anyone circled Yankee-Oriole games. But that's going to be a very big, big game this summer when they get together, especially Yankee Stadium. The rest of the division is competitive. Okay, the other 3 teams are right around 500. Tampa's been disappointing, but they're only 2 games under 500. As badly as they've played, they're only 2 games under 500. The Red Sox a little bit of a surprise being at 500. Toronto we knew they'd take a step back this year. They have. But those teams are all competitive. None of them are pushovers. There's no, there's no dead piece in the division. So everybody in the division is going to compete all the time. So the division games are not going to be that easy. That's the point. But right now, as you hit June, it is a tremendous, tremendous 1-2 competition. You want to call it a competition, you want to call it a friendly competition, you want to call it just an overpowering performance by those two, and even give Stanton credit. He's off to a very good start this year. I mean, he's having a very, very good season for him. And they're getting good performances from Volpe, from Verdugo, and it gives them some depth and some balance, which they haven't had in recent years. It comes down to how they're going to pitch as to whether they can be a team that can go to the World Series this year. And they obviously haven't gotten Cole back, and they can be very, very careful with his return to not force the issue, let him come at his own pace, let him come as his body tells him, and get him back and get him on form and get him in the right groove by the time August comes. That's what you're looking to do, so that he's ready for the postseason. I will wait till a little later in the week to do an in-depth NBA preview, but it's a series with obvious storylines. Celtics have been dominant so far, but they've had a very easy road. Matter of fact, the three teams they played, which were all overmatched, all played with multiple games without their best player. There's two storylines there. Porzingis is one. If Porzingis is healthy and can play major minutes, this is going to be a very tough series for Dallas to win. But I'll tell you something. I don't expect that. I don't expect him to be at 100%. I expect him to be a little erratic. I expect him to be erratic inside games. I might even see if he even can make every game. I think the series is far closer than everyone is depicting it. I mean, it's being depicted as a Celtic rout. I just don't see it. And you can make the case that the Mavs have the two best players on the floor. Not that Irving's better than Tatum, but that in the 1-2, they have the two best 1-2. They have the best player, we know that, and they have the best 1-2 when Irving's on his game. And Irving, who has a brilliant finals performance on his resume, is also hated in Boston, which should add to his intensity. He's going to hear and read about how he can't handle what White and Holiday have to offer. So he should be highly motivated. Now, I am not an Irving fan by any stretch of imagination, but if he plays to his optimum level here, Dallas can upset them. Dallas has been a very sneaky improved defensive team since the trade. And I think they're bigs. Now, Porzingis can give them matchup nightmares. But if he's off the floor, the Celtics have no rim protection. And I think the Celtic bigs, especially Lively, can give them a very hard time. You know there's going to be an enormous number of threes shot. You know Luka's going to shoot a whole ton. You know Irving's going to shoot a ton. You know that Luka's going to get the ball to the corner for open threes. Whether those are knocked down or not is a huge factor. Same thing with the Celtics, who are going to take 40 threes in these games. They live and die by the three. Tatum and Luka have both struggled from three in the playoffs. I think they've each had two games where they've been 500 from three, been 50% from three. They've had bad shooting games. Luka's going to score 30 points a game as long as his knee holds up. You know he's going to score 30 points a game. The question is how many shots it's going to take him to score 30 points a game. And how many rebounds and assists does he get, especially assists for open threes. But the biggest key is going to be whether Irving is that vital number two or a disappointment in the series. Luka's going to be Luka. He holds the key for Dallas. If he plays to the level he can play to, Dallas can upset them. Celtics are not. I think they're overrated. They have these really weird performances at home. They have not been great at home. They are not the defensive team that people paint them out to be. And I think Dallas can give them a hard time on their floor. And remember, Indiana should have won game one and after game 2 wasn't even healthy. Wasn't even healthy late in game 2 with Halliburton. And Halliburton didn't play again after that. I mean, Boston got an absolute avenue to the finals. They didn't have to break a sweat. The competition the Mavs played was much, much harder. Celtics, according to BetRivers, are a 220 favorite to win the series. You get 175 in the series with Mavs. I think the Mavs, again, if Porzingis is 100%, that's going to make this very tough. I don't think he will be. So I think Dallas has a legitimate chance to win this. Hard to go against anybody in Game 7 in Boston. Very hard. You know, if you've watched basketball, you've been around the NBA forever, that's very difficult to go against that because of the history of that franchise. But I could see the Mavs winning this in 6. If Irving plays to the level that he can play to, I think they can win this in 6. And I think their role players are better than people think. Panthers were very impressive against the Rangers. They overcame the brilliant goaltending that the Rangers provided. Their goalie played really well. He kind of took a back seat to Igor, obviously. But the Panthers, they won that series, and they were impressive. And let's be honest, they won that series, and they were clearly the dominant team. They're favored in the finals. Not much. I don't know anything about the Oilers. I'd be the first to admit it. Right now, today, I don't know anything about the Oilers. But I would say this. If they're better than the Panthers, that's saying a lot. Because I've been very impressed watching the Ranger games. I've been very impressed by the Panthers. Very impressed by their physicality, by their defense, by their coaching, by their toughness, by their depth, by all that. I don't see a weakness. I know the Oilers have a great player. When I talked about the NHL when the postseason started, and I talked about the team that the guys mentioned out west was Edmonton. They made the finals. Now, I don't know if Edmonton is as good as the Panthers. I'm sure this has been the line says it's a highly competitive series. I know they have a great player. The Panthers are a 134. You get 110 with the Oilers. The Panthers are minus 134. So it's basically a 6.5 to 5 series, which is not a heavy favorite. It's a slight favorite. Celtics are a pretty heavy favorite. They're better than a 2-1 favorite. That's a solid favorite. The Panthers are a slight favorite. I have a hard time seeing the Oilers being better than the Panthers, but I don't know. I really don't know. So I don't know how they match up, to be honest with you. I have to get someone on to give me who knows something about the Oilers to give me an idea. Like I said, I watched every minute of the Rangers series, and I was very, very impressed by the Panthers. And stacking up, and I think also you learn something going there last year and losing. I think you do learn something about what you have to be better at. The Panthers have admitted that's the case. So let's see if they take that experience and turn it into a Stanley Cup championship. As far as the Rangers, when you look going forward, just judging it off what we saw in the last couple of series, they need to be bigger, especially on defense. And they need to be deeper because, let's be honest, Florida used their depth to a tremendous advantage in the series. And I know the obvious headline is the performance of the big Ranger stars and how they didn't perform in this series. And they obviously didn't. We know that. But part of that is being worn down by the physicality and the size and the defensive game plan. I mean, they did a very good job in the pregame of showing how that defense worked, how they controlled the game with that defense in that series. Plus, it was completely obvious that whenever the puck went to the boards, Florida came away with the puck all the time. I mean, not once in a while, all the time. And they controlled the puck such an enormous amount. It was obvious. They were just bigger and stronger and deeper. And that's something that the Rangers have to go to school on. They need better depth. And they need better size. They obviously have the goaltender. And that's a great thing to have. But, he can't do everything. And the Rangers had clearly, in the last games of that series, had huge problems scoring goals. They were completely dominated by that defense and by that physical play of Florida. Now, I don't know if Florida is going to have that edge on the Oilers. I have no idea. So I can't even talk about that right now because I just don't know anything about the Oilers. I'll tell you honestly, I haven't seen them. I haven't watched the West one game, and I haven't seen anything. And only know one player on that team. So I can't give you I got to talk to a couple of hot guys before I have any idea about the Oilers. But I'm very impressed by the Panthers. I'm very impressed by their roster. I'm very impressed by their coach. Very impressed. Especially impressed by their coach. They look very much like a now team. They seem to me to have the characteristics and the mentality right now of a team that's about ready to win a championship. That's what they look like to me. They don't look like they have any weaknesses. They play extremely confidently. And I would doubt that would change in the next series. But again, I don't want to sell the Oilers short. They might be better than I think. I just don't know. As far as the Mets, they had the meeting and then won a couple of games, and everyone, makes a big deal of that. And this is baseball. Meetings don't work in baseball. Okay, you got to play every day. It's not like you're playing once a week. It's not like you can rev them up emotionally. It's not a game that's played that way. It's about consistency. It's about execution. And more than anything else, it's about having consistency of pitching because you can think you're on a roll, okay? And you can think, hey, we're going to put some games together. But then if your pitcher goes out, like Manaea did and gets hit, it's over. Your winning streak is over. Your momentum's over. If you're down 4-0, 6-1 in the middle of that game on Saturday, well, there goes your momentum. Momentum in baseball is tomorrow's starting pitcher. That is an old adage, and it is absolutely 100% accurate. You could be the hottest team in the world. If you're facing Sandy Koufax tomorrow, goodbye to your momentum. It's tomorrow's starting pitcher. You could have a hot team, you could have a hot bat, but it It can all be stopped by the right pitcher at the right moment. I would not expect anything consistent out of this Met team this year. I just don't think there's anything there that would give you that level of consistency. I think they are going to be a bad team all the way. They are 11 games under 500 right now. And if you notice, what they're starting to do is they're starting to move the roster. The Mets are going to go through this season, and they are going to, by the end of it, have put a lot of different faces on this roster this year. The question you have to answer now is, how many of the guys that you consider regulars are still going to be there at the end of the season? There's two pronounced facts about the Mets that are deadly. Well, three. Number one, they're 11 games under 500. Number two, they have the highest payroll in baseball. Number three, they're the oldest team in baseball. Those three things, add them up, and that is disaster. You're the oldest team in baseball. You're the biggest payroll in baseball. You're 11 games under 500. You don't have a top pitcher. Your bullpen closer, who is one of your stars, is out of the position. Your best starting pitcher hasn't pitched this year and is nowhere close to pitching. Alonso is clearly worried, or not worried, but thinking about his fate probably on a daily basis. And he's not the only guy doing that on that team. Because there are a lot of veteran guys that you could see. And don't be surprised by just about anybody who goes to the minors. Anybody who wins a position. Hey, they are going to look at players right now. This is going to be a meritocracy, except at some positions you're just going to have to live with the guy. Like, you're going to have to live with Lindor at shortstop. He's there. No one's taking that contract. He's there, and you're going to have to live with him every day. But you know what? Look at third base. Vientos took an opportunity. Beatty wasn't playing well. He goes in there. He starts to hit. He gets a chance to play the job. We know that. We don't know yet if he's an everyday major league player. We know he's got some pop. We don't know about his defense. We don't know about his consistency. Right now he's doing a good job, so you're going to play him and see if give him a chance. That's what they're going to do. They're going to keep moving players on this roster. They've already done it on numerous occasions this year. It's going to continue. It's going to be a revolving door. There's no question about it. And you're going to see some of the everyday guys on this team moved. Some will fit some will help in a pennant race. Somebody will want Marte. You know what? He can help a team. He can help a team with his bat. He can help a team with his defense. I wouldn't be surprised to see McNeil go. And I would not be surprised now. And they might even tell you that, hey, we can re-sign Alonso, even if we trade him off. We get something for him, and then we bring him back. Trade him to a contender. Let him play there. You don't know if he's ever coming back. He might be so hurt that he never comes back. Odds are he doesn't come back. I'd say right now it's 60-40 he goes this year. Any of those guys could go. I just don't think Lindor will go because I don't think anybody will touch that contract. But you know how what I believe about Alonso. I think you have to understand, and I don't think these guys do, that not everybody comes here and plays well in New York. Not every name player you bring in here is going to perform well here. Some of the guys are going to flop because some guys are just not made to play in New York. And when you do that by trial and error, you are going to have some big-name guys come in here, and they're going to be very uncomfortable, and they're going to want out right away. Alonso wants to play here. He relishes playing here. He plays every day, and he is a consistent right-handed slugger. Those are things you can't replace. There's no way to replace him. You're not getting a guy to do what he does. He plays every day. He loves playing here. He loves New York. He embraces the fans. He can play in the clutch. He doesn't hurt you defensively. He doesn't take days off. For me, he is an easy re-up. If you want to tell me, oh, well, we're worried that 5 years from now he's going to break down because he doesn't have a great body, he doesn't have this, fine. Pay him more per year now and sign him to a 5-year deal. He's got 5 years in him. Give it to him at a good price. I think that's the smart move. But this team in smart moves, we have to wait and see. Let me see them make some smart moves before I give them credit for being able to make smart moves. Just because Coleman has money doesn't mean he knows what he's doing. And I'm willing to watch what Stearns is doing. I'm watching. We will watch. And the proof will be in the pudding. But I think sending Alonso because they don't want to sign him, I think is a mistake. I think they could get him at a reasonable price as long as they upped the per year money to a place where he was content. I think then you can get him to a 5-year contract. I don't believe in signing anybody into their mid to late. I don't even want to sign anybody into their late 30s. I don't even want to sign anybody past 34. Not anymore. And the worst thing you can do is have one of those huge contracts where the guy can't play a lick, and you got that huge contract at the end of the career. Those are the worst. So I agree with those. Those are killers. But there is not really a nucleus here that you can talk about yet. I mean, at the start of the year, you would have given me 5 or 6 guys. But right now, there aren't many. He catches a player, he's just got to get healthy. He's a player. I don't know if Vientos is a player. I know he's got some pop, but I don't know that he's a player. Right now, he's producing. His OPS is good. His batting average is good. He's doing a good job right now, but that could be very short order. McNeil seems to be a very unhappy player. I don't know what's going on with him, but I would not be. I would be shocked if he doesn't find the home because hey, someone else is going to say, I know this guy can hit 320. He needs a change of scenery. And they might be right. He might need it just to change of scenery. And to be put in a good lineup and be put on a good team, and he might turn around and have a really good finish to his season. I think he could be very useful. I think Marte could be very useful. I think Martinez could be very useful in a pennant race. The guy can still hit. He's a really good bat. I think he could wind up on another team. So could Alonso. I don't think Lindor could at all, and I don't think Nimmo will leave. I think he'll be here. But there's not a whole lot of other things you want on this team, and they're going to change the faces. They've already changed a lot of faces considering this point in the season. Think about how many roster moves they've already made. This is going to be that kind of year with a revolving door, with a ton of different starting pitchers and a ton of different guys looking in the bullpen. It's going to be basically open auditions all year with this team. But I don't think you'll see them anywhere over 500 again this year. I think that's over with. I don't think they're making up 11 games in the standings. I think you have a much better chance they get to 20 under than they do that they get to 500. Much better chance. Because they're not a good ball club. They have no strengths. And a lot of weaknesses. And, they get off and they win the 2 games against the Diamondbacks, and you're all pumped up, and they turn around and lose the next 2 games to the Diamondbacks, who are not a good team. I mean, the fact that the National, 100 games this year, are 4 games under 500 tells you all you need, and they're bringing their young players quicker than the Mets are. It's not a good situation. As a matter of fact, it's about as bad a situation as you could ever really ever experience. Because there's nothing. And before you know it, Miami will be past them. Because Miami, which started off 0-9, and right now is still 21-39. There's only 4 games behind them in the loss column. That's it. Now, they still have some ground to make up because they got so far behind. But it wouldn't surprise me if before the season's over, they go past them. And Washington's playing 4 games better than them in the loss column right now. Only 4 games under 500, which is a surprise. So it's going to be a year that will test your patience, and also a year that when you judge it in the dog days, when everything else is over, and you're waiting for training camps to open in July and in mid-August, and you're waiting, to get the NFL season underway, and you can't wait for NFL opening day, and you still got to live through that month of August. Those days are going to be very hard to take at Citi Field when you judge it against the excitement that's going to be at Yankee Stadium, where they're knocking home runs all over the place and winning and hoping to take an express to the World Series this year. They will completely own this town this summer, and that will be very hard for their owner to take. Very, very hard. You can only have so many days when he and his wife can sit on the field there and get hugs from Darryl Strawberry. And you know what? Place wasn't even half full. I mean, you're retiring Gooden's number. It's in the rain. You're retiring Strawberry's number, and there's nobody there. The only crowd I saw that was any good was for fireworks, and fireworks brings them out, folks. People will go for a firework. They'll go see any team. They'll go see the A's play if they can watch fireworks afterwards. When they get a free fireworks show, they love it. The kids love it. The families love it. They had a big crowd for fireworks. They can't have fireworks every day. The problem is they have no fireworks on the field. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.